What's going on, everybody? Hey, episode number 14. What has happened to our time? We are moving right along, trucking on towards, we're already there. The new year, we're here. And we talked some last week about what our goals are for the new year. We know that a lot of people are thinking the same things. Oftentimes you talk about, when it comes to the new year resolutions. I said, like, what are the things we're actually going to do? Because we, really, for me, sometimes we just got to hit the grind and do what needs to be done. I did want to recognize a couple comments before we get into introductions today. And first of all is Sean Bargain Resale left a comment, said, "You all are so genuine. Danica's rap was spot on. Happy New Year to all of you." Garage Sale Nation popping in saying, "I like Leroy with an edge." Leroy's on one last week, boys. Like, he was ready. We had Crystal Butler says, "I'm a new reseller. My first eBay, I believe, was a scammer," and we're going to talk about that later in the video. Nicole Turner drops in and says, "I do enjoy your videos, guys. Thank you for introducing us to Lady Luck Junk." We were so thankful and appreciative that Danica agreed to be part of the show last week, and obviously brought a whole nother element, even had us breaking out the Kleenex and tissue boxes at one point. Because, it is nice to hear other people's story and hear what's going on in other parts of the reselling community. And, we all have our own story, our own journey, and our own background, and our own way of doing things a lot of times. So it's great to hear different points of view from different resellers. So let's go ahead and jump into some introductions. We're going to go bottom to top starting with, he's down in the basement today, guys. He's giving you the behind the scenes. Here's the fire hanging on the wall. Cernoch. Let's go. You're muted.
Yeah, Leroy.
I was muted. I'm in the basement. We're chilling out. Look, I got all my stuff over here. I mean, we're doing things. Got a little hat on right here. Bass tournament I got from my boy Tim. So rocking that today. But hey, just happy to be here. Happy New Year's to everybody. And we're just gonna be giving some great tips and tricks, to help y'all in y'all's reselling. Hey, if y'all been with us for 14 episodes or, 13 episodes, hey, we're bringing even more stuff. So we're bringing it every week to y'all. At Tuesdays, y'all can watch us live, on Listing and Loafing from, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 2 p.m. So, we're doing it all. We're excited. I've been working nonstop, even after the new year. It's like, hey, Q4 might have ended, but guess what? Q1 starts. It all starts right now. So, hey, if you're doing your business, it's time to start right now. Let's go.
Hey, and Leroy is coming to us not from Starbucks, not from his van. He's actually in the workshop today. So, Leroy, what we working on?
Momentarily, I'm in the van. I'm in the workshop. But you never know. I might be in the van before the end of this episode. So, but I'm glad to be here again. These guys putting up with me. I don't understand how I can afford it, but they do it anyway. And it is New Year, and for some of you guys, I just wanted to be serious real quick. For some of you guys, you don't like to put out your goals, and you don't like to write down your goals, but mentally what you want to accomplish in the new year. Just do it. Just keep it in your head, and you don't have to tell nobody. Some people don't want to tell people because they're afraid to fail. Don't worry about it. Do it for you. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. And if you fall down, get yourself back up, list some more stuff, list it low, let it go, and just keep moving throughout the year. You don't have to. You don't have to write it down. You don't have to tell people your goal, but inside your heart and inside your head what you need to do.
That's great advice, Leroy. I missed this one. I do want to read this one real quick before I got in. This lady who's trying to sell something is constantly leaving us great motivational quotes. This one's by Bruce Lee. It says, "A goal is not always meant to be reached, but it often serves simply as something to aim at." I actually replied to her and said, "If you aim high, you're going to hit higher than where you were," right? Like, I mean, if you aim high and you come up short, you're still further along than where you were when you started. So there you go. And obviously, last but definitely not least, we're checking in with, we share him with this other podcast, Authentic in the Beard, that if you have not checked it out, you're missing out. Like you're just missing out. The world of football, the world of NFC East. You look at that. So check out Authentic in the Beard. We're going to drop a link to that today down below, and make sure you're checking them out because it's almost playoffs, baby. It's almost there. So let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to be back. It is now 2023. I'm trying my best to remember that is not 2022. So big shout outs to everybody who's watching us. As always, we appreciate all the love and all the support. Just because we have reached one goal already, which was 100,000 7-Eleven points, that does not mean that we are not going to keep pushing for more. We have an update. We have currently passed the 100,000 point mark. We are now at 101,367 7-Eleven points. So shout out to the continuing mountain climbing of 7-Eleven points. I also did, Eric touched briefly about the, about my football podcast, and I do want to, touch base on what happened. So this will be airing Friday, obviously. So hopefully we have better news by Friday. But I think it is important that we, just send some love, prayers, and thoughts to Damar Hamlin and his family. For those of you that don't know, Damar Hamlin is the safety for the Buffalo Bills who had a tragic incident in the game on Monday Night Football, and he is currently in ICU. So just definitely want to, remind everybody, hug your loved ones, let everybody know that you care about them. Doesn't need to be a holiday, a new year, or anything. It just needs to be, a new morning, the end of the day, anything like that. So definitely want to send our prayers and thoughts to the Hamlin family as hopefully by the time this airs, we will have better news. But yeah, it's a new year. We got a lot of things that we're going to try to attack here. Most importantly, don't forget, as Eric reads those comments, hopefully that reminds each and every one of you to continue to leave questions in the comment section because that gives us more ammo and to kind of attack these questions and areas that you're trying to learn more in. Because we're also trying to learn more about stuff too. I was talking to these guys earlier today during Listening and Loafing. Don't forget that's live every Tuesday on this channel about how I was trying to learn more about water bottles and thermoses and stuff like that, like the Starbucks things, because I see a lot of that stuff in my thrift store. So I don't want to be missing out on opportunity. So it just goes to show you that nobody knows everything. We are learning just as much as you guys are learning. So please keep bringing those questions, and we appreciate all the love and support.
Yeah, absolutely. We do thank you guys and for your continued support. And we are looking towards the future and what could be. We obviously are looking for new categories, new items to look for, new opportunities, maybe opening up possibilities for us to speak about things that we haven't known in previous years because we're constantly, I can tell you, the guys on this panel, every one of us are learners. We are constantly looking and trying to learn. It's funny, we have a group chat behind the scenes and, occasionally people are dropping pictures in there here's Cernoch, the clothing guy, who's like, look, found this vintage Victorian lamp. And Tim's like, oh yeah, that's this. And
I forgot to remind Cernoch he said he had some questions about that, and I forgot
it's
to
all
remind
good.
him.
It's all
I apologize.
So there's things like that come up all the time. I mean, Leroy is bringing out stuff that I've never even heard names or thought what it was. And he's like, hey guys, do you know what this is? This is $250. Hold up. Let me get my pen out. Let me write that down. Let me scribe that on my brain next time I'm out there because, oftentimes we, like Tim said, you can leave opportunities on the shelf if you don't have the knowledge. And if you don't know, you don't know. I mean, it is one of those things. Back when I used to do more picking videos, occasionally people would comment and say, hey, you missed that. And I didn't know. Like, so you learn every day. And that's what we're here to do, is to help you learn so that you can earn. We'll go and start the rhyming out right out of the gate, just in honor of Leroy and Danica. Let's jump into that 101 with Tim.
Oh my gosh, I think I have something in my eye. But all right, here we go. I'm back. I'm alive. Oh, there we go. All right, here we go. So this is going to be, we're going to go back to the roots, okay? Glass is in session, okay? We're going to do a little 101 on glass. All right, so what I have is there's 3 glass makers, and these glass makers are often confused with one another. Not just because of the similarities in the products in which they make, but also because of their markings. Now, remember, not every single piece of glass has a maker's mark, especially some of these companies that I'm going to go over with you right now. I mean, I literally was with Cernoch when we were picking. I want to say we were in Virginia somewhere, or West Virginia. I can't remember. I think we were in Virginia. But I picked up this mug, and this guy was like, "Oh yeah, that's Fire King," and I was like, "No, it's actually Federal Glass." And he's like, "No, it's Fire King," and I'm like, "This is not Fire King. This is made by Federal Glass Company. This is Federal Glass." He was like, "Give it to me." And he looks at it, and he flips it over, and he shows it to me. He said, "You see that F right there? That's for Fire King." I said, "Dude, that is for Federal Glass." And he was like, legitimately, I thought he was going to fight me. So I was just like, okay, I'm not even going to ask you how much it is now, because I'm pretty sure you're not going to sell it to me. But I think it is important to kind of, do that, because we all make mistakes when identifying stuff, especially when it comes to glass. So when you do know for sure, it not only helps you build confidence in selling those items, but it also helps, with your listing, your title, and the value of an item and so forth. So we're going to go over 3 different glass companies and their maker's marks. The 3 companies are going to be Anchor Hawking, Hazel Atlas, and Federal Glass. Now, a lot of these glass companies were making glass, early in the 20s, 30s, and, all the way up until, 50s, 60s, 70s, okay? Now, a lot of these companies will make very similar items. So sometimes it is a little bit difficult to identify because not every piece is marked. But I am going to show you the markings and explain to you why some of these markings can be misunderstood by the other company. So the first marking that we are going to look at is going to be, speak of the devil himself, Federal Glass. So you can see this is a big giant F, and I just have to move myself over here even though I'm not in focus. It's a big giant F, okay? So the F is inside the shield. That stands for Federal Glass Company, okay? Now, sometimes this can be mistaken for, like the gentleman when I was out picking, for Fire King. So that is Federal Glass. It is a F inside a shield. So anytime you see the F inside the shield, that's going to be Federal Glass Company. Next up, we're going to do Anchor Hawking. So we're going to transition to why some people think that this is Fire King and why some people think that this is Federal Glass and so forth. So Anchor Hawking makes Fire King. Anchor Hawking is made by Fire King. So that's probably why the gentleman thought that it was Fire King, because he thought the F stood for Fire King. Anytime it's Fire King, it will say Fire King spelled out. But remember that Anchor Hawking makes Fire King. So if you're listing something that's Fire King like Jadeite, you can always list it Anchor Hawking Fire King Jadeite or so forth. So that's just something to kind of help you out. And then obviously down in the bottom row here, you can see the anchor with the H. Okay, and so the next company we're going to look at is going to be Hazel Atlas. Now, a lot of times people mistake Hazel Atlas for Anchor Hawking because Anchor Hawking's initials are AH and Hazel Atlas's initials are HA. So you can see here that the Hazel Atlas markings is a A inside of an H. So it can easily be mistaken for Anchor Hawking, but it is actually Hazel Atlas. So you can understand just by hearing the names and seeing the different markings why there might be some confusion between Hazel Atlas, Anchor Hawking, and Federal Glass. But now that you have seen these markings yourself, and you can obviously always search on Google a company's name and their marking, or just glass markings, glass maker markings. There's tons of information out there on Pinterest as far as pictures go. So it's something that you can easily teach yourself. But I just thought this would be a good introduction because these are 3 companies that you might see a lot of glass out there. And these are, some tips to kind of help you identify these pieces, to help you research, and in the end, help you make sales. So that is Federal Glass Company, Anchor Hawking, and Hazel Atlas. Hopefully that was a little helpful for everybody, because I know it's one thing I see a lot of confusion with people who are new resellers in the glass world, to easily mix up those companies and their makers' marks.
Yeah, that I've seen that firsthand too. Like where it's like, wait, what is this? And I've seen that too with like, Corningware, Corel, and Pyrex and all that. Like that's something you have to research too, because all those were kind of intermingled as well.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of the stuff you'll see too is going to be like the milk glass products. It's tough sometimes to see these markings. Sometimes it's you have to kind of rub your finger on the base of some of these items to kind of feel that there is a marking, especially on those milk glass pieces, because they're not as easily visible. And then don't forget also that just because you find a piece of glass and it doesn't have the Anchor Hawking on it, or it doesn't have the F on it, or it doesn't have the Hazel Atlas on it, that doesn't mean that it's not that. I want to make sure I make that clear, that not all pieces of glass have makers' marks on the piece. A lot of times there's a period of time when glass makers were using foil stickers. And over time, it's almost impossible for those stickers to stay onto the glass. So just remember that, just because something doesn't have a marking doesn't mean that it's nothing. That's also very important to know.
That is pretty interesting, because I've been around Tim. I picked with Tim a few times. Honestly, I've had him on screen with me as I'm looking at glass and talking about. So I actually, here recently, prior to Thanksgiving, I had a little kind of one of those, hey, I'm learning. Like I finally got a little something, because actually, and I happen to have this. This wasn't even for the show, but it's here. This right here, no maker's mark whatsoever, but it has a feel to it that I've seen before, felt it before, like little things that. So I told Tim, I brought it on the show, and I was like, Tim, is this Indiana glass? And he's like, yes, it is Indiana glass. And I was able to look it up and see what it was. But I was stoked because I was at a yard sale. I saw that. And because of hanging around this guy, and glass has been in session for a long time between the three of us. So like we've watched him pick thrift stores and flea markets and all kinds of stuff. And like, just for me, by knowing what it feels like, knowing kind of the way it is, it helped, even where there isn't a maker's mark. But just like what he said, there's maker's marks in a lot of things. If you're not careful, like there's little nuances that make it different than what you're thinking, just because you look at that. So that's great information and extremely helpful to thus that are trying to learn about glass. And Tim also has great helpful tips on how to ship that stuff, because for me, I had bad experiences with breakables early on, and then got hanging around him. He helped me out. So one of those things. Next up, we're going to check in the world of what's trending, and who better to do that with than Cernoch.
What's up, everyone? What's up, everyone? Hey, all right. So what's trending? Okay, so we just hit the new year. Okay, this is something that people still do. Okay, people still like to make those New Year's resolutions. I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna go running every day, and it might only last 2 weeks. It only might last 2 months. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? Some people hit their goal and they're a brand new person. Congratulations to all of y'all that do that. That is fantastic. What is trending, though, right now? It's those New Year's resolution type things for fitness. Okay, we're talking about, you can run the gamut. Clothes, shoes, running shoes especially. Okay, shorts, yoga pants. Tim was talking about those like water bottles. Oh man, those water bottles are huge. Equipment like yoga mats, all those things. If you can find them at a good price through thrifting or retail arbitrage, those are something you're definitely going to want to pick up. I just picked up on Monday. Okay, on Monday, I was at a discount warehouse type store, and they had a Schwinn. I think it's called an IC4 bike. Okay, this is the Peloton like competitor bike they have. They had it brand new in the box for $130. This thing retails for over $1,000. So it's like, I said, you know what? Normally it was over 100 pounds, big box. Normally something like that, I'm like, man, I'm not gonna take a chance. But right now, it is super hot right now. So I said, you know what? It's $130. That's 4 pairs of shoes at Ross. So I said, I'm gonna take that opportunity and buy that. So we're gonna see if it pays off. I will let y'all know if it pays off, but I definitely think it will, because those are the fitness products that you're gonna want. Think it, just put in your mind, is this for fitness? And if you see it, take a look at it, comp it, take the chances. I mean, I'm talking about like, even like the barbells. I know the Bowflex adjustable barbells. Those were super hot during 2020 when during COVID and everything like that. But those are still valuable. So those, and the thing is, a lot of this equipment you can find at thrift stores as well, because what happens? People give up after 2 months. They're like, you know what? I'm done. I've reached my goal, whatever, and they get rid of it. So you might be able to find something. So right now is the opportunities to go look, list it, and sell it quickly. So that's what's trending. Hopefully y'all can find some things out there. Here's the easy thing: running shoes. That right now, I've already sold like 6 pairs of running shoes in the past week. So definitely do your due diligence. Make sure you're comping. Make sure you're buying low, selling high. All those good things. And strike while the iron's hot.
There you go. We see obviously the same thing that you can talk about. What's trending is give it about 3 months, and that's the time to buy. Like, go back in, hit all them garage sales where people are like, I tried that. Like, that's just digging up. I actually helped a buddy of mine move over the weekend, and man, he had so much of that equipment. And I said, do you use this stuff? He actually does, but I was like, man, I'm looking at those stackable weights and stuff. I was like, I know those things sell like crazy. So that's a great tip.
The one thing too, when you're finding all this, sometimes you might find those big like Bowflex machines. If you've got room, now listen, if you've got room, some of those big workout machines that have a bunch of parts, if you can get it for cheap, you can part out those items. I mean, I was looking at a Bowflex. I don't really have a lot of room for it, but like just the seat alone sells for $100. So if you can get it like on a crazy deal, get rid of it for $20. If you come across something like that, you can definitely part out those machines, because they're looking for straps. They're looking for maybe just one band that broke, and you can charge whatever you want for it.
There you go. Great tips for sure. Hey, so we're going to jump in now to our reseller hacks, and we got my man Leroy.
All right, guys. So Eric's going to jump in now because he doesn't want me to jump off because my internet is so lousy today. But first of all, I gotta throw you guys a little one in here. Like Eric said, forget about that elf. Just don't leave it on the shelf. So, but all being said, so everybody does different things in eBay to, like to identify stuff. People do different things to identify stuff. I'll show you my stuff first, and then we'll have a small little look into my store, but I have these little mats, and what they are silicone cooking mats. There are cheaper ones, and then there are a little bit more expensive ones. The cheaper ones are going to come to you like this, and they're going to be hard to get the wrinkles out, take about a year. But if you spend a little bit more money, um, you can have a little bit better. I work with a lot of tools, so a lot of my stuff gets greasy, and even though I clean it, it's still like a little dirty. And if I use a cloth or whatever, it's going to be dirty. I'm going to have spots on it. With these silicone mats, I can wipe them with spray foam. Told you guys about the spray foam. I can wipe them with spray foam, and they're clean. They're clean again. Then what I can do is I can also use them as color coded dates or where I got them from. Then I have a yellow one, and I have a light blue one, and I have a green one. But you can put them under your item that you're taking pictures of, and sort of however you're going to use that inside of your store, knowing either where you got it from, knowing what year you listed it, when you listed it. We're going to jump into my store right now, and I'm going to show you guys. So you'll see, if you scroll through quickly, you'll see there's some red, but then most of them are blue. If you scroll up a little bit, you'll see more blue. So you'll see a lot of them are blue, and then you'll see some red ones. The blue ones are my recent ones, the ones that I'm using now. The red background, whatever you see in red background, are the ones from last year. Now, in about a month, I'll get rid of the red, and I will stop fading out the blue, but I'll totally eliminate the red. That will mean that those items have been listed for well over a year. So that's something that I do. A little hack that I have to try to just so I know, okay, they're red backgrounds. Red backgrounds, they're at least a year old. Now I'm using the blue. And what I'll do is, like I said, in February, March, I'll switch to another color and then fade that color out. That's an easy way to know if you write a little date on the back of the mat or whatever to know how long you've had the item, or where you got the item from. It doesn't have to be a date code. It could be where you got it from. Oh, I got this from an estate sale. I got this from a yard sale. These mats can be found on Amazon. They're not really that expensive. Try to stay away from the cheaper ones. Try to spend a little bit more money, maybe like $4 or $5 a piece. And I have some that I've spent upwards of $30 for. I have a nice the blue one that you see under all these. That's actually a dog dish mat, so that's a bigger one, probably like 30 by 20, and it has a little ridge around it. So that's my hack for today, guys. But I just wanted to show you guys you can do small things that nobody knows why you're doing it, but it's very helpful for your business, for you.
Hey, so I just got one question. I know everybody says Leroy only sells tools, right? Like that's what I heard about Leroy, but his store has some other stuff in here. What's going on here? Like, we got some golf gloves. We got some wrapping paper. By the way, I think Leroy would probably give you a pretty good deal on wrapping paper right now. Just FYI, links down below. Look, video game stuff. It's not all tools. He has more in his own little tool chest than what people seem to think. But
I love that. I love that idea. I think that's actually super, super smart. Like I I had no idea, but because I do that subconsciously sometimes. So like I can tell when I listed something a little bit based upon the way the picture looks, because I've obviously I've rotated between so many different places where I've taken pictures. But that's super fascinating. I think make sure you get a link, Eric, in the description.
There'll be links down below.
So people can grab those off of Amazon. That might be something cool for cards too.
They're silicone, and they wipe off. Like if your hands are a little dirty or you just need a clean surface, I just spray them with the foam spray. I just get a rag, whoop, and it's like brand new again.
That's nice. Because that's one of the things too, that it's actually a great hack, because I know for me, like what I've done for my backgrounds is I actually go get paneling. Is what I've been doing lately, and I'm using paneling or flooring. That's the other thing I use. The problem with paneling is it scratches, and so I have to change it out all the time because like where I'm putting stuff on, taking it off, it'll get little nicks or scratches and that kind of thing. So that's a great hack with the silicone. And I mean, obviously, if you're using like vinyl flooring, that's a little bit easier, but then you get the cracks and you get dirt in the cracks and all that kind of stuff. So that's a great hack. We'll definitely drop some links down below for that. And Leroy, we appreciate you. By the way, all these guys' stores are down below. So if you're looking for something in particular, check us first. How about it? And then shoot us a message. We saw you on RIN. Hey, what kind of deal can we get here? Like, shoot us an offer. We ain't scared.
Definitely not scared of an offer.
Yeah, well, and especially
unless it's like 75% off. Don't do that to me.
Hey, listen. I sometimes do deep discounts. If I've had something in my store for a while, I will do a deep discount on it.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
If the person's nice and they ask right, same thing. I was feeling generous during the holidays. I had this Hot Wheels set, brand new. They go about for $175, $200, and the guy goes, "Hey, is there any way I can get that for $100? My kid's been looking for this." He's like, "You're the only person that still has it, but can I do it for $100?" And I said, "You know what?
That's a reason. I can totally dig that, but like if it's like I had a item for I think it was like $70 the other day." And I got an offer for $8. I can't help you there, buddy.
That's not an offer, man. That's not an offer. What is that? You trying to rob me is all. Like that's and you hold me at gunpoint at that point.
As you guys were just able to see, Eric literally that was my store. He was in my store. So if that item's red, I gotta put it to bed, get it out of here. So, if you see a red background, if that item's red, I gotta go to bed. Let it go.
Yeah.
Oh, Leroy's the best.
Got a red background. Oh man. Yeah. So definitely check that out. Hey, we're gonna go ahead and jump into some Q&A. All right. So let me pull this question. So last week we were talking and we touched on a topic. Grams and Pop Vintage left a question in and said, great, Eric touched on a great topic, sustainability. How do you guys, or can you turn reselling into a business and not a job? If you stop working, does the money go away? If it does, that's a job. Love to hear thoughts from the guys on this topic and how they might diversify. Ooh, that's kind of a different kind of subject for what we're doing as far as reselling. But what do you guys think? You want to go?
Well, I'll go ahead and jump right into this one, with a lengthy answer like I normally do. No, I mean, I understand where he is coming from as far as the difference between a job and a business. Technically, yes, because I don't have to work. I can take a day off, right? And I can still sell something. So I can still make money. I can work in a day, though, and not sell anything and not make money. So it's kind of weird. Like, I feel like that concept doesn't necessarily apply to reselling to a certain extent because of the nature of reselling. Like, you can work all day and not sell anything. You can not work all day and sell 5 things. Yeah. I think that's the beauty sometimes of reselling. But I do think that no matter where you are with, your reselling business, that if you do work, it eventually turns into money. Like you have to do the little things, especially when you're people like us, when you're a one-man band. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I had somebody who was listing all day, I could go do the fun stuff, sourcing. You know what I'm saying? But like, unfortunately, we don't have that aspect. So I think that once you can get to that level, though, where you can have some help I think that definitely transitions from having a job to having a business to a certain extent, obviously. But there was what was this? The second part of that question? Oh, diversifying. So look, there's many ways to diversify in under the same umbrella of reselling. There's been obviously a lot of things that I've thought about doing, and I still think I'm going to try and do once I kind of get myself more organized and I have a more centralized location for my business. You know, like right now, obviously I'm all over the place because I can't currently run my business fully 100% where I'm located. But once I get to that point, you know, I thought about doing getting my auctioneer license. You know, doing a going to there's a couple of programs that you can do also where you can become an appraiser. That was something that I kind of had in my book.
Antique Roadshow.
Yeah, obviously, running your own estate sale company is a way to diversify under the reselling umbrella. Doing house cleanouts is another way to diversify yourself under the same reselling umbrella because all of those things can kind of funnel back into your reselling business, which I think is the most important part about diversifying is not being a reseller and owning a juice stand. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not necessarily. I guess it is diversifying, but to me, it's not as useful. To me, it's about diversification in a business in a portfolio is about how do I funnel one business to another. Obviously, merchandise is another thing that you can do. There's tons of different avenues like that. Affiliate marketing, obviously, that helps you. YouTube could be another way. There's tons of different stuff like that. So if you decide to do consignment, that's another way you could diversify. So I think there's plenty of options there. But to me, the key is to kind of have everything funnel back into it, because that's going to bolster your portfolio. Because if you have a estate sale company, and then you have a resale company, it to me, it makes sense. So it's like all those sort of things kind of have a common denominator to a certain extent. And then as far as the working business job sort of aspect, I just think that also you have to remember if you enjoy what you're doing, you're not working. You know what I'm saying? It's not a job if you enjoy what you're doing. So there's always going to be parts of what we do that is not necessarily yippee, let's go ship a 100-pound exercise bike. You know what I'm saying? Like, or things like that, or like the tediousness. Like right now I'm working on a project. It's taking me forever and it's boring, but it has to get done. So just remember that there's a lot of what we do that's really fun. So to me, that's a big difference maker in between having a job and running a business also.
Leroy.
So listen, this is a big question. Okay. Like Tim said, he said he's a one-man band, right? Give him a hand, he's a one-man band. Okay. Some of mine are gonna be like dad jokes. I don't really care if you guys like it or not, because I'm gonna stay with it for the year 2023 because it's me. I did want to jump real quick back into what I was talking about before. What I did with this mat is I actually bought a roll of.
See, look at that.
It's a roll,
next level.
It's a roll of stick-on tape measure, and you get like 5 or 6 tape measures in the roll. You can get them on Amazon. I'll have to look for them. We don't know if it's going to be in a link, but I'll try.
Yeah, we'll get links
to help Eric with that. But it's just a roll-on stick tape measure, and it's tape. It's tape, but it's a tape measure, and you could stick it on your wherever you're taking your pictures, so you're not like, oh my God, man, what do I do with that ruler? Where's that ruler at? So that's over to there. But being serious with like your business and being like these guys said, we're by ourselves. Trying to do are you doing next level? Are you listing all the time? I haven't listed since for about 10 days, and my store is a little low. Like my finances are getting a little low, but I'm doing it for a reason. I'm going to put another sale on, and I'm trying different things where, it being my business, I can do that. Is that being diverse a little bit? It is. It is being a little diverse because I'm making sure I'm doing something that makes me happy. I'm trying something else to see if it works. You can throw things at the wall in your business to see if it sticks or see if it works. Just do it in moderation. Do small little things. Okay, if I put box slots out, is it going to work? Well, I got 6 of them. Let me try putting 2 up. When I was selling these pliers, I have 7 of them. I only listed 3 because I didn't want these guys beating me up trying to take them all from me when I know what they're worth. So, I don't know if I'm away from what the topic was, but you have to make sure that you enjoy what you're doing, try things, and your business is your business.
There you go. Sarah.
Yeah, I feel like the job versus business kind of question was kind of like when I think of like a job, I'm thinking like, all right, I gotta get up in the morning, take a shower, get dressed, put on clothes, go clock in. Got to do this task. If you have a boss, they're telling you need to do this, you need to do that, and then you can't wait to clock out. You get home and all right, you're tired. And, reselling's a little bit different where it's like, this is my business. So as hard as I work, that's where it's, the fruits are going to come from, where it's just, with the job, you're kind of making money for someone else. You're making, they're paying you a little bit, but you're making more money for someone else where it's like, my business, I'm making money for me, that's where I come. And diversifying, I look at that like diversifying as in like, where you're selling your products, how you're selling your products and all that stuff to where there's no really one successful avenue. You can, if you really, I believe this, if you really stick to something and put your heart into like maybe, like just say you want just to do Poshmark, you could be successful just at Poshmark if you, learn all the hacks and tricks and this and that and, or like whatnot, you could build a huge audience on there by just doing show after show after show after show. But there's not, I know guys that sell exclusively on Instagram or my buddy Jeremy, he just goes to these vintage expos every weekend, one in Baltimore, one in DC, one down south in Virginia. He's traveling, he's doing that. So that's kind of the diversification. There's not just one, hey, I still like eBay because it's got millions and millions of views and, that's where I'm most successful at. So it's like, I've learned that kind of thing. So I'm kind of like focusing more on that, but maybe you got a product that, you can sell somewhere else or differently. And you don't have to be like tied down and say, well, this is the only way to do it. So you can diversify the way you do things, to make yourself successful. And it starts out with just trying to do it, just trying it out. I know, a lot of us tried out Whatnot and, in Poshmark and, I've done all kinds of things saying, all right, is that successful? Is that worth my time? Or can I be filling my time with something else? Can I be filling my time doing eBay stuff, Whatnot stuff, getting stuff ready for a vintage expo I'm going to? So it's all about trying things, see what works, and then just as your business, because I'm in charge of my business, you can make that decision to go, you know what? Let's lay off of this and focus more energy on this because we've been more successful. So if you're not doing that, if you're not trying out new things and see, you might be missing out some opportunities.
And I talked a little bit about this last week about sustainability and diversity. One thing like you guys all mentioned, I mean, obviously reselling is what we do. That's what we do. And it is our businesses. And, there's lots of ways to look at diversity. Just like Cernoch said, you can sell on different platforms. Like Tim said, you can expand out of just the online selling presence. Like you can move into, I know Leroy sells at flea markets. Like that's something he's done to diversify his business. We sell on multiple platforms. It's something we've done to diversify our business. There's times where I'll reach out to people and say, hey, I got this. Do you want to buy this? Because I don't want to deal with it anymore. Like, that's the kind of stuff I do. I'm fixing to sell some jewelry. Reach out because I've got probably about 25 pounds left. Right. I'm going to say, hey, somebody, if you'll make me a decent offer on it, it's yours. You can make money. I can make money. We all make money. For me, I've always been a person who I have multiple streams of income. I just always have been. It's something I learned at a younger state because I was locked into one situation of working and, stuff happens and that's taken away. So, that's honestly part of the reason why I found reselling. I talked today on our show that I used to do some Uber. I think the world we live in today, there's no reason why you can't pivot. I mean, just like we did with, with whatnot, with like, I'm trying out Poshmark. I've made some sales on Poshmark. I've sold over $500 in change now. I'm a little over a month in. It's not a massive amount, but it's like, hey, there's more money you can. And these are items that didn't sell on eBay, like that have been just hanging out there. So like there's that form of diversity. There's things where if you wanted to, from a sustainability standpoint, I've actually been talking with Chris, Obxpicker. This isn't a new idea. We didn't come up with this idea. It's been around for a while. There's pros and cons to it. There's people that talk crazy stuff about one side or the other. But honestly, man, I watch Daily Refinement some. Like people either love him or hate him. Like for me, I can learn from a stump, dude. Like, I mean, there's something you can learn from anybody. We don't all have it figured out. And there's parts like, they always just said, hey, you eat the meat and spit out the bones. Like you don't have to eat it all. I mean, you don't have to divulge in all of it. But one of the things that he practices is doing a draft bank. It's actually something I'm working on right now. Cause I was like, for me, from a sustainability standpoint, what happens if I'm laid up in the bed for 2 weeks? What happens if I hurt myself? What happens, Lord forbid, something tragic happened and now, my business is put on hold. Well, I mean, there's some ways to go about that, like if you have this draft bank set up and when I talk about draft bank, if you're brand new, you're not sure what that is. Basically you can list drafts, you can put them in your draft, you can not make them live. What Chris has done, Obxpicker, is he actually has 150 items sitting in a draft bank right now. He took this past few weeks and he just stacked them in the draft bank. So his goal is this year, 2023, he's talked about this in his video. If you're not following Chris, Obxpicker, we had him on a couple weeks ago. Hit him up on YouTube. But what he's done is he's making a goal. He's going to drop 10 a day. So what he's doing, he's not just dropping, okay, I did all this work a while back. No, he said, my goal is to consistently have at least 150 in that draft bank. I'm dropping 10 a day and then I'm listing. He said it may grow, but he said, what happens is because Chris has situations like I have situations, my wife is disabled. She doesn't drive. My parents are getting older. They have stuff to deal with. It's one of those situations to where I can't always say, I'm going to sit and grind this out. I'm going to do this. There are days, and I mean, Leroy just said it. Hey, I listed in 10 days. Well, look, if you have a little cushion, then you're able to list. Now, some people say, what's it matter whether you list it or whether you don't list it? The jury's out on that. Like, there's people that are on one saying, oh, the algorithm doesn't care. Like if you list it all one time, that's fine. The truth of the matter is nobody knows, truthfully. But I can tell you this, the times that I list consistently, you know what I do? I sell consistently.
Yeah.
That's just what I see.
It might be anecdotal, but I feel that when you list your items, your store gets an uplift.
Yeah.
And especially kind of piggyback off of that, Eric, even the categories you list in too.
Right.
Because I still have a bunch of hats, but I haven't listed hats in a long time. But it's always funny once I start, if I tomorrow go and list 40 hats or 25, 30 hats, 40 hats in the next 3 days, I'll be selling old stuff that I've had, and that might just, like I said, it might just be anecdotal, but I don't know.
I've seen it happen too, and we all have. We've talked about that before. One of the things that I do periodically is I make random totes of stuff to list. And it'll be, hey, 2 pair of shoes, a shirt, a hat, a golf club, rather than used to, I would take, okay, I've got this many of this. I'm going to go ahead and hammer all these out, get all these listings up. And then, you'll have a little push in that category. And then, it's like they disappear. They fall off. They go down the road. And then now, same thing. You start listing stuff. Today, I'm actually listing electronics. And I guarantee next couple of days, I'll sell some of these old electronics that I've had sitting in my store for a while. But, when you get back and think about the sustainability of that, that's not a long-term thing. That's a thing. Hey, that can get me through a rough patch. That's something that in case something happens. Now, the temptation is for me, just like anybody else, I've already done the work. Just hit the button. It's up, it's live. But then the long-term payoff though, is you might have a day, dude. We have all been sick over the past couple of months for sometimes 2, 3, 4 days. And I was like, dude, if we all had that and we could just go in and dink, 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 dink. Hey, I just listed 10 items. Good to go. That it could help with a sustainability issue. As far as for the long term, one of the things I talked about the other day was organization, because if something happened to me right now, nobody could run my business for me. Nobody. Most people probably wouldn't want to anyway, but we talk. It's funny. Me and Chris, old school picker, we're good friends. We talk a lot, just like I am with these guys on here. But Chris said, he's like, look, my wife has your phone number. He's like, if something happens to me, she's calling you, because she's gonna need some help. And I said, well, obviously we're in a community of people that we don't mind stepping into helping people out. He said, well, what she's gonna need some help with is to shut the store down, and B, get rid of all this crap. That's what I'm talking about. So those are some things to think about though, because we are, we're in this thing together. If something was to happen, Lord knows we all go to estate sales and there's tons of crap there, tons of stuff that people have. If something happened with one of us, for me, that's something I've begun to think about. It's morbid kind of maybe to think about it. But if something happens to me, I don't want to put my family through the lurch. I have told them, I said, look, this is a estate sale company. This is who you call. They'll come and take care of everything. But at the end of the day, the other thing is looking at maybe making investments in other things, not necessarily stepping completely out of reselling world. But Danica, I think, touched on it a bit the other day about possibly having rental income or other things. For me, I actually have other income coming in. I used to do credit card processing. I still have clients that process credit cards. As long as those cards swipe, then I make a little percentage off that. So it's kind of an extra cushion for doing what we do. But that's one of the things. You guys got any more thoughts about that?
I do. I'm sorry.
Are you pulling that Matt up again?
Did you say grind or grinder?
Oh yeah.
My mind just you say grind. I want to go over there and clean something. Now you were grind but no, what you were saying, it makes a lot of sense. It's none of us. There's not one of us on this panel that want to think that anything can happen to any of us or any people that we talk to on a regular basis. But who besides us know what our stuff's worth? I'm really precious with my racks and my bins. Now, I wouldn't want those just to go on the street corner. I got $4,000 into these racks.
Yeah.
So, I want to make sure that, whoever is at my house, I want to make sure that they know, hey, listen, you call Eric, or you call Chris, or you call Tim, because that stuff there's certain things the product can go, but there's certain things that you can't. It's not that easy to replace.
Mm-hmm.
And the people on the other side of us that just see it as our job, they don't really know what is invested in Cernochs wood hat guy or Cernochs press. Listen, if something happens to me, you put that in a box that goes up in the attic and you don't give it to nobody. I don't care what you do with anything else. But there's certain things in this shop or at Cernochs or at Tim's, you put it in a box and you put it aside. So that's it. I'm done.
I told him just burn it all down.
Yeah. We having a yard sale. I have my buddies that run estate sale companies that I do, and they're the get rid of it guys. Like they're gonna sell it all, and that's really what I've told my family. I said if something does happen, Lord forbid, call these guys. Like they're gonna make you some money, and then they'll. But I do have another little hot sheet. I said, look, you can go on my phone. Anybody that you see me on with YouTube, hit them up. I say we'll have a big YouTube meet up. They'll come buy half this stuff and help you out. Like it's one of those things. But yeah, it is kind of morbid to think about. But you think down the road, like obviously as much as we want to continue and do what we do, but there's definitely smarter ways to do it. So we do look at that. Let me go ahead and pull this next question. Something Grams and Pops Vintage also asked, promoted listing question for you guys. This is actually an interesting question about promoted listing. If I search for a 9/16 Craftsman wrench, then sort lowest plus shipping first, are you saying promoted listing will show better and sort functional is not truly accurate? I do promoted some listings as well, but I don't think I've ever purchased on eBay without sorting with this in mind, which kind of makes promotions mute. So obviously we've talked a little bit about the pricing aspect, and we've talked about how, there's lots of different ways to sort that. And, not everybody does use the normal sort when it comes to promoting listing. So I guess kind of the question being formed is like, which is better, to use promoted listings or to price more competitively? I guess that would be.
I never thought about this. And it's crazy because I was telling you guys earlier, I've been doing a lot of shopping lately on eBay, buying up some cheap cards, and I do my sorting. I put in my search bar, and then I do my sort from lowest to highest, including shipping. So, I mean, in essence, I guess it kind of does, but that's such a tricky question.
I know, right?
Technically, yes, it makes it obsolete, but I would need data to know on how many people are actually searching like that. You know what I'm saying? Like how many people are actually searching just through cheapest price. I guess it depends on what you're selling. I mean, for me, it's just hella easier to just promote it all because you know what I'm saying? Like before you change, this kind of goes back to everything. Before you change to sort by, you have to type it in first, and it brings up the search first. So if I'm promoted and I'm on that first page in the search and my picture looks good, you might click on that before you even switch to from cheapest to most expensive. So it's a very interesting topic. I personally don't have enough data to give you a solid answer, but what you're saying makes sense, obviously. But I think that, the opposite side of that is what I just said about, you have to type in first, search, and then if might come up on the first page and I look, better than everything else that you see, naturally, psychologically, you're going to click on that before you even go to search from low to high, especially if you already have a price range in mind and my item falls in that price range. So that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, eBay automatically defaults to best match, right? Like that's the default. So
here's a little tinfoil hat, though. Here's a little tinfoil hat. Let's say you don't promote, okay? You don't promote, and then they do it from lowest to highest. Who says your listing's going to be shown?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you look at it, I actually, after I got this question, I started going in and looking at, like, I just started searching for stuff, and you don't see a lot of times on that first page, on the lowest price, you don't see a lot of promoted. Like, it don't show up. I don't know why or how or what. If there was some of them that showed up that way, but like that's just what
you might have the lowest price and not promoting it.
Yeah.
But it might not even show up in their search results. I've had it where I've had 3 people on the phone, and I looked up. I said, "This is what I have. I have this pair of boots. I had a pair of boots. They were red women's. I forget what brand they were. They might have been Uggs or something like that. But I said, man, I can't find this boot. They were like, yeah, I'm seeing it right here. I'm like, where? They're like, type in this, and I typed it in. Didn't show up. I said, and they sent me the link. And I'm like, that is not showing up in any search results. I went to Google. It shows it up in Google. I go back to eBay, look it up, nowhere to be found. You know,
let's pull up and do a little live, like on the spot. I was looking at these extra toughs earlier. So this is page 1 for extra, like, waterproof boots, extra tough. I'm actually, hold on. Let me get it up. So this is where I was at. I was looking at this page of extra toughs. Now, obviously, you see sponsored. Basically, that whole first page is sponsored. You get down here. Second row, no sponsors. But here's the other thing with that I guess not even looking at or thinking about is if we click price lowest first. No sponsors in that first 4. But also you get bids. Like, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to decide if you're switching it from from auction to buy it now.
So let's see when we first find a sponsored thing. I'm not seeing any.
Well, the thing.
Okay, we'll switch it to buy it now, though.
All right. We're on buy it now. We're going down.
Yeah.
So who knows? Like you said, Cernoch, it could be disappearing. I mean, there's other ways to search, and we don't know truly. What I've never understood is like this. Okay, if I'm sorting from lowest to highest, how come this $65 one is way down here?
Because $15 shipping.
Yeah, it includes shipping.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So, I mean,
it's interesting. I
can understand that, but it's like two.
There we go. There we go. Bottom of the page. The bottom of page 1, 2.
So it goes like this too. It's like, well, okay. At that time, you may think you have the lowest price, but what happens? What happens if that's a hot product like that Craftsman wrench they were talking about? Boom, 10 more listings, a penny cheaper. So you know what I'm saying? So it's like, are you going to be going back and forth with your listings, comping every single week, making sure you got the things? I feel better. I feel better that instead of having the lowest price, because I don't always want the lowest price, because
you want to race to the bottom.
Yeah, I don't want to race to the bottom. I want, you know what? Yeah. I see it all the time with retail arbitrage, especially sneakers, not high-end sneakers, just like the Ross and the Marshalls and the TJ Maxx sneakers. A lot of times there's a race to the bottom. And what happens is you might have a shoe that you buy for $40, okay? Mm-hmm. And that shoe is a retail of $200. Well, you're not going to get necessarily $200 because it's not that hot hype sneaker, but you might get $120. But what you'll see at the very beginning is, all right, you put yours at $120. Someone will go, all right, I'm going to put mine at 110, and then 100, and then 90, and then 89. And then you go back a week later and you comp it again, and then someone's selling it $64.99 when they bought it for $40. Okay. So it's like, okay, if you want to be involved with the race to the bottom, fine. But me personally, I would rather them blow out all their inventory. Mm-hmm. They ain't got none left. And then in the next few weeks when they're going look, someone's looking for that shoe, they see mine and they buy mine. I'm okay with that. I don't need to have the lowest prices, because here's the thing. Someone can always come in and go, you know what? I'm gonna be a little bit lower, because I did that with Pokemon toys. I bought a bunch of Pokemon toys at this one place, thinking like no one else is gonna have them. Okay, so I made some lots. Boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, Ross got them, and Ross has thousands of stores nationwide. So resellers are buying them up, and the price just dropped on it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I'm never gonna be able to sell any of this, because they have there was so much inventory for so cheap. So you said, you know what I said? You know what? I'm gonna put $1 on every single one and sell them like that, and just blow. And I said, I'm gonna blow through them. You know,
you're that guy.
Yeah, I you know what? I'm just gonna go hardcore. Guess what? Y'all ain't selling none of these Pokemon toys. I'm gonna be selling them all. So I just put them all in I put $1 on each plus shipping. And dude, I was flying through them. But you know what though? Crazy thing though, that actually uplifted it felt like it uplifted my entire store as well. So it's one of those things. We don't know exactly how the eBay algorithm works, but we've done this long enough. We know certain things happen when you do certain things.
Hey, what was he doing, Leroy? What was he doing?
Hold on. What he was doing was he was doing it low, but promote it, yo. List it low. Let it go.
Okay. Bars.
Bars.
But
it brings. Go ahead, Leroy.
But all that being said, everybody's motto is different. Don't look at my motto and I'm saying listen low, and Cernoch saying sell it high, sell it high. Do you? And I say this. I don't say this on this show, but I'm going to say it for the first time. Do you, boo boo? Like. That's just me. Like, don't worry about whatever. Do what you think is going to work, or do, like I said, throw it against the wall. Eric has personally been in my store and seen my numbers. Eric has seen my numbers. I sit here and I act like I'm horrible and I don't know what I'm doing. But Eric has seen my numbers and other people that I've been friends with. And I don't do too shabby, but I have my motto. That's my motto. Yeah. I sell different things than everybody else. Who's going to sell a U-bolt? Are you guys selling U-bolts? Because I don't know if you look up online, but I don't see U-bolts online all the time. Like, for real. So if I get 6 of these in a package, in a bin, I'm going to sell 6 U-bolts, and I'm going to sell them for $8. Now, everybody else is selling them for $14. It's a U-bolt. It's a U-bolt. Like, so use your own motto. Like, don't. You know, we're here to try to teach you guys and to show you what we're doing is we're showing you what we're learning and our mistakes is what we're doing. We're showing you our mistakes. Like, take this, put it in your pocket, tell your friend, but don't be afraid to do you, boo-boo. Like, that's just my saying. Like, don't be afraid, because there's certain things that Eric does. I don't disagree with anybody on this panel. I'm going to tell you that straight up. But I have my method and they have their method. And I do want to say one more thing, and then I'm going to stop. But I feel like every time we give these, like Cernoch, Tim, we'll give you guys like a little bit of advice, and every time we're dropping the mic. I feel like when we're done, it's just like boom, 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 bam. Okay, Eric, back to you, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is crazy too, because the other side of these kind of questions, right, is like there is so much depth that goes into each one of these things, because everything's variable. Okay, that listing that I just put up about Extra Toughs, the sell-through rate on Extra Tough is over 100%.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you list it, it will sell in 90 days. Like, if you list it, it will, unless you're just ridiculously out of the park, you know, out of control. But a lot of the Extra Toughs that are sold, like when you've seen those cheaper prices when we got in there, if you look at those cheaper prices, they're oddballs. They're for youth. They're size 14 triple E. Like, they're things that, like, Cernoch would price that higher. We know.
Yes, because I was just thinking that.
Yeah, that's because that's a rarer thing. But then when you look at these things and you say, well, if I was to look at that motto and say, okay, I'm gonna just be the lowest one, like you said, if you're doing RA, anything new in the package, if you're saying I want to be the lowest, then you're gonna be the first loser. Like, I mean, that's just there's two ways. There's two ways with RA, and we all have heard it: first in or last out. That's it. That's the only way you make money in RA. You got to be first in, you got to sell it, you got to get out, or you got to be the last one to hold. And I know Cernoch has done this numerous times. I've done it before on items where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just wait. I'm just going to leave mine jacked up here high. And then something happens about 8 months later. All of a sudden you sell that thing for full asking price, double what anybody else had it. But then the other side of it, though, is if you're in a used category and you're selling a Nautica button-up shirt that 500,000 of them are out there, like, you either got to have the most unique, the better picture. You're going to need to promote it, and you probably still have to have the better price. Like, it's one of the things because everybody's got it. Shipping rate's so slow. Like, you need every advantage you got.
I've had items where I've changed my shipping to 1 day, just in that one particular item, just to try to change myself from the rest of the market.
Yeah. It is one of those things, and I know I've said this before, and Cernoch said it numerous times. If eBay asks you to do it, you might want to consider doing it because, like, I've heard this in Daily Refinement again. That he says there's 9 promotions, and they're not all promoted listings. Like free shipping is a thing that you can offer on some items like that. There's lots of things that you can add to that. Best offer is something that is a promotion. Your handling time obviously is something that's a promotion. Like, all these things you look at, and then if you're doing the TPP, title, price, picture, like, there's things that are going to help you sell. So, like, there's no cookie cutter answer to these questions. Like, when they come out, there's so much you have to think about with each one. But look, if you're new and you're brand new, the easiest thing to do is stick with one or the other. Just kind of the rule of thumb is you can look at sell-through rate, and if it's a highly competitive, you're going to have to promote it. There's no way around it. Like, you're going to have to promote it or just give it away, one or the other. Like, dirt cheap it, get it out there, Pokemon ball, whatever you got to do. Like, get rid of that thing. But all right, we're going to jump into this next question, and this is actually the last one we have of the day. Crystal Butler asked, I'm a new reseller. My first sell on eBay, I believe, was a scammer. How often do you encounter scams, and how do you recognize them, especially for newbies? Like, what are some of the scam stuff you guys see out there?
Well, listen, I don't get scammed because they know better than to mess with me,
Forget about it.
Nah, listen, I think, there's so many. Okay, let me just try and fly through this, okay? First of all, anytime somebody asks you to write a check or a money order or anything, can they write a money order or anything like that? Like, that's bogus. It's instant reaction that's a scammer, okay? Anytime somebody, wants... what's the other one? There's another one.
PayPal.
PayPal. Here's my phone number. Call me.
That stuff.
I'm willing to pay more than asking.
All of that stuff is scams. Don't believe any of that stuff. Okay. Personally, I don't accept returns, even though you can be forced to accept returns. But I personally don't accept returns. I think that defers some scammers because it makes me a little bit less difficult to scam from me, I believe. Like, you have to be the hardcore scammers to get, to know what you're doing, obviously, to get around the eBay loopholes. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, those sort of people are going to get you no matter what. I think the other thing is you have to do your best to protect yourself against scammers, okay? Because what a lot of scammers will do is they will look for the listings. They're like, oh, this is prime real estate. This person has this item listed and it doesn't work. but they don't have it listed as a non-working item, so I can buy this item and keep it and get my money back. You know, stuff like you have to be very thorough when it comes to your listings, your descriptions, and your pictures. That'll make you less of a target against scammers. Obviously, there's going to be situations where you're going to send somebody something, they're going to want to return it, they're going to return you something that's not what you sent them. So I mean, it sucks because I don't have an answer for you. Like you have to do your best to protect yourself. Anytime you feel like you get scammed like that, I think one of the first things that you can do is threaten legal action. Because that will scare some people off and they'll drop their returns. Now, when I say legal action, you have to do it a certain way. Don't be like, I'm going to get my lawyer on you. Like that's not going to work. There's certain language and violation codes that you can use to kind of scare those scammers off. The other thing is obviously you have to be kind of aware. And the one thing I feel like I see the most in these stupid Facebook posts are this person's buying from me and they have zero feedback. What do I do? I mean, you sell the damn item. What do you mean? What do you do? Like there are people who find your items
on eBay.
Yeah, I mean that's just going to be happening. And there are people that find items through Google search, and they have to create an account to buy something on there. Now there's going to be like red flags, like weird questions. Sometimes can be red flags. You can check buyers' feedback also, which is a helpful tool. So there's a lot of different ways, but I mean, like as far as the new stuff comes in, those are the biggest ones. The ones I mentioned in the beginning, I feel like that most people see when they're new sellers. So just kind of keep your eye out for that. And if something does feel a little off, send somebody a message. Be cautious posting it on a Facebook group. You might get eaten alive. But you can come here to RIN and we'll help you out free of charge. But yeah, those are some of the more common scammers. But what do? I do everything I possibly can to protect myself. In Murphy's Law, baby. What can go wrong will go wrong. So basically prevent it from going wrong as best as you possibly can.
What I do is I go to Blood, Sweat, and Sell. And in my store, Blood, Sweat, and Sell, you can buy an anti-scamming device. And this anti-scamming device will stop any scammers from bothering. If you go into my store, it'll be in there by the end of the week, and you'll be able to buy this item, and it will help you with any kind of scammers that you might possibly get here on eBay. All kidding aside, eBay has rules and regulations. You as a seller, sell your stuff through eBay's rules and regulations. I love this one. I get it once in a while. A message. Excuse me. Could you send this to 278 Woodruff Lane? No, because your address is 278 Peter Pan Drive. So no, I am not sending it to that because my policy through eBay is for me to send it to the address that is provided. Now, believe it or not, it's actually really easy for them. I don't know how to do it, but it's actually easy for them to switch the address if they do it before they make the purchase. They can switch the address to Eric's address or whoever's address. But you have to make sure that you follow the rules that whatever platform you go on that they provide. So if they're asking you to send it to PayPal or send the money to my Cash App, no. Because that's not what eBay's asking you to do. You can get banned from eBay from doing stupid stuff that they don't want you to do. Outside sales. You got to be careful with outside sales. Because I get times, and I'm not going to lie, like I do outside sales, but I'm very careful on how I do my outside sales. They might want something, and, well, can you throw this in or can you do it this way? So follow whatever platform you're selling on, follow the rules, spend a few minutes to look into it if you're not sure. You're not the only one that's getting scammed. I'm not sure. There's a whole list. Just type in, somebody wants me to change the address. And eBay will tell you, hey, don't do that. Or don't take any money this way. That's how I look at it. And in the Blood, Sweat, and Soul, you will see this anti-scamming device. Make sure you pick up one and you'll be safe from all scammers. To you, Cernoch.
Yeah, no, Leroy, you kind of hit what I was going to talk about. Like, yeah, if you're just, if you follow the rules of eBay or whatnot or Poshmark or whatever platform you're on, if you follow those rules, then scamming gets a lot harder to be done. Because they have to, the scammers have to work within the rules. And yes, some scammers are better than others. Some scammers, have been around and know kind of like what they can hit and stuff like that. So it's like, I will say this: scamming. If someone wants to scam you, it's going to be inevitable. Okay. If I wanted to scam any one of these three guys right now on eBay, I could. Okay. Because I know the ins and outs of it, but it's like, so scamming is going to happen. Don't let yourself be vulnerable to the easy scams. Okay. The easy scams are the ones, Tim and Leroy were talking about. Oh, call me, text me at this number, or I can send a cashier's check or something bogus like that. Now, say you sell an item, say you sell a stereo part that as is, that's it. Well, guess what? They can still return it. You might have no returns, or they can still return. They can lie and say, "Hey, item not as described. It came in with a big dent on it." Okay. Well, guess what? You're getting that item back. Okay. But guess what? They bought that item, hit that item with a hammer they bought from Leroy. Okay. All right. Then they take the part out that they want, hit it with a hammer, put it back in the box, and send it back. Okay. There's nothing you can do about that. I'm telling you, there's zero you can do about it. Now, here's the thing. I don't recommend this, but you do have their address though, still.
Yeah, and you could buy those motorcycle tailgating BB pouch from Leroy too. So,
but like I said, the scams the weak scams, okay, those you can protect yourself from if you're following the rules, okay. And to bounce off what Tim says, yes, zero feedback. Man, I see that all the time. This person has zero feedback. Listen, a lot of these scammers do have a zero feedback, but grandmother that just got on eBay to buy her grandson a cool jacket from me has zero feedback too.
Yeah,
you kind of have to. But here's the thing, if you sell something with zero feedback and they pay for it, what the eBay tell you? Pack it, ship it. Okay, that's all you gotta do. So, as long as you're doing all those things, you're gonna be more protected. Okay, and I think where a lot of people just start looking where everything's a scam. Then to them, like in some of the new people where it's like, hey, chill, relax, not everything's a scam. Okay, where you could just be like, okay, let me just go on and sell this stuff and move on. And if I do get hit with a scam, it's all about how you react to it then.
And every one of us sell on eBay. Every one of us have an idea if something's going to come up. Sometimes you get blindsided, but there's a concrete, there's a telephone pole, then goes the flag. Okay, so as soon as they send you a message that's uncomfortable, that's what you pay eBay for. You message eBay right away before anything even comes out. You say, this person is saying this and this. What is the proper step that I use? And then they're already going to have it noted down that you have a concern,
Yeah.
And they're going to, not that they're going to be on your side, but they're going to tell you what they want you to do.
Yeah.
For me, good. I was gonna say for me, I have been, there's been a couple times where I was scammed, and it wasn't because I weren't protected. It was because one time I sold these new parts, right? It was a new odometer for a Polaris thing. Well, what it was is I had the whole kit. I had the odometer new in the pack. I had all the components that go with the odometer new in the pack. I took pictures of all that stuff. So the guy sends me a thing, hey, odometer didn't work. He sends me back all the components in an odometer that's full of mold. Like, and I was like, so I said, well, can you send me pictures? Well, this guy he sent me pictures of the odometer that wasn't working, which, and so I actually, for me, I've been around that kind of stuff for a while. Like I used to know about, I did loss prevention for my company at one point. So like there's things to do. One of the things I would suggest you to do is continue to ask questions and get responses. Because basically what this guy did is he painted himself in a corner. And so when I brought all that information to eBay, look, here's the pictures he sent me. Here's the pictures of the items I sent out. Why would I sell a moldy odometer when all the pieces are still in the wrapper that he returned me? Like, that makes no sense. Like, obviously the guy replaced his odometer, sent back all that stuff. And like, if you look at the original pictures, all these components together, one thing ain't like the others. Like, it's pretty obvious. And he had kind of double talked a little bit because, I continue to ask questions, continue to say, hey, well, what about this? What about that? Just to see what he's doing. The pictures did not match up at all. eBay actually sided with me. Now, it took some doing on my behalf. There's other times where I've had exactly like what Cernoch and these guys talked about. Most of the time, it's on electronics or video games or something along those lines. And you look at it and you're like, well, I know there are people that will tell you things like, get you one of those hidden markers and mark on there. Dude, eBay's not going to side with that. Like, they're not. Like, take a video of your item. I mean, you can do that, and it might suppose some kind of threat level. I'll be honest. If someone says INAD, you lose. Like, I mean, that's just how it is. You're going to have to return. You're going to have to go with it to return. The thing I would tell you is have insurance on your items. Like, I've got something sitting in limbo right now. It's like a $250 piece, and the guy said he got it and it doesn't work. And so I'm like, file the return, like send it back. That's the first thing I say. But the other side of it is, look, I do on my electronics, and I include it in the listing. I take a picture of the serial number on that stuff. Like, I'm not trying to like get backs, Joe Blows, whatever. And I make sure, I said, look, just make sure that the serial number matches on what you're sending me back, because here's the picture of the serial number. Like, you want to just kind of flex a little bit, because honestly, here's the other side of it. If they threaten you, you win.
Yeah.
If they cuss at you, you win. If it, any of that stuff come up, so keep pushing.
Feedback extortion, or something like that.
Yep. If they threaten hard feedback, so.
Here's kind of like, well, I'm gonna wrap this up with my, or not. I'm gonna wrap up my talking point on this. Every business has scammers. Okay, if you're afraid to run your business because of scammers, then maybe you shouldn't be in business. Okay, because restaurants have scammers, credit card companies have scammers, like every business has scammers. So you just got to know how to deal with them. And guess what? Sometimes scammers will win and you will lose. Yep. I think we've all been scammed. We've all lost. But guess what? At the end of the day, you brush it off and you move on to the next thing. So that's how it'd be like, deal with it. But if it doesn't go in your favor, you can gripe about it a little bit, but guess what? Nope. Nobody cares. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes it's so minute. Like, honestly, like I was looking just now in my eBay store. Like, I've been doing this about 3.5, going on 4 years, and I've sold 5,800 items on eBay. Like I said, I've been scammed twice. Yeah. One time I won, one time I lost. There's other times where I've got things back, and I was like, well, maybe that was me that blew it. And I admitted in one of my Obxpicker videos the other day, I did something dumb the other day. Like, I put in a listing and I did a sell similar. I changed every size of that shoe except for the one that was in the title. There's a little number 7 sitting out there by itself. And I'm like, so you know what this guy did? He's like, oh, this weren't as described. It was supposed to be. Now, here's what he did to me, though. Instead of wanting to return it, he's like, look, if you just send me half the money, then, So I'm sitting there, look, I could make him return this thing, and it would cost me about the same. So I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, I'll send you half your money. You kept this. But just like what Tim said, that may have been somebody who was fishing. He's like, wait a minute, something screwed up in this listing. You got size difference here and here. I'm going to order that because I know I can win that deal. That's one of the things. But don't be fearful.
There is, someone could go take a look at any listing we have and find something.
Pick apart something.
You said this was made in Taiwan, but that tag says China. That's how I am not as described. Something like, dude, I've had shoes and boots and stuff like that going, you said it was brown. This is more of a blackish brown than brown. I'm like, wait, well, blackish brown is still brown. But again,
you can make them send it back. I will say, like with Tim, he has no return. I have free returns, and here's one of the reasons why. For me, I have free returns because people, if they hit INAD, it's coming back. Like you're going to have to accept the return anyway. But because I have free returns, if somebody returns, I don't have to repay the original shipping, even if I have to give a full refund. What does happen, because people are like, well, then my customer will be ticked off with me. No, what they'll do is they'll reach out to eBay, and eBay's got your back, and they'll pay that. And you don't have to, you're not at least out the original shipping. So.
I had that exact same situation. A lady bought a pair of boots, didn't fit. Okay. Well, that's not my problem. I do buyer paid returns. It's listed in there. She returned it. I gave her money back. I didn't give her shipping back. And she was like, hey, why didn't you? I said, well, I do buyer paid returns. It says it in the listing, and she was kind of griping. She threatened negative feedback. And I said, hey, you might not want to do that, blah, blah, blah. We do buyer paid returns. And I just kept it very professional. We do buyer paid returns. You can definitely reach out to eBay, for this question, that you may have. So it's just.
Yep. It's one of them things. So, don't be afraid. The bottom line is, like Cernoch said, don't be afraid of that. Don't let that hinder you. If you get hung up on these, you probably need to find a new line of work because, to be honest, you are the business owner. So you got to do it at the business owner level. Like, how many times did you have people return food where the manager walked out and said, forget you, pal. I'm not giving you nothing. He's not going to do that, right? He's going to go out. He's going to glad hand them. He's going to make sure everything's good because it's not necessarily about that individual person. It's about the grand scheme of your business. And it's worth more while to put out, hey, if it's going to be something bad that happens in my business, I don't want to throw gasoline on that fire. I want to try to solve that as professional and as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And in doing that, now I can tell you, we may get on a show or something and rant about it a little bit. At the end of the day, though, we're going to handle it. We're going to take care of it. We're going to do what's right by our customer. And I would encourage you to do the same.
Can I do my manager to the table spiel? So I used to work in restaurant management for a long time. Hey guys, I am so sorry our food took so long. We're making it in the back. We're taking care of it. Hey, what we're going to do is we're going to get some desserts for y'all. Tell the kids, look through the menu, see if they want. Again, we apologize for going so slow, but we're going to make it right. I would rather us make it right the first time and take a little bit more time than rush it out and have something y'all aren't happy with. So hopefully that'll be taken care of. I'll be running those meals out personally just to make sure y'all are all good. And if y'all need anything else, just let me know. My name's Chris. I'll be taking care of y'all tonight. See, there you go. Boom.
Oh, I know all about that.
I want that's my chocolate cake.
Thank goodness I ain't gotta do that no more. Oh.
Yeah. You look at it there. For me, if it's my fault, I'm gonna accept responsibility. Yeah. Right. I'm going to be quick on that. I'm going to be like, hey, sorry for the inconvenience. Whatever, there was a mistake because it happens. We do it. And then on the, then I try to think about with me, okay, if I make a mistake and this guy went ballistic on me, right? I'm going to feel some type of way. Whereas if somebody else is doing something, because half the questions you get that I hear people ranting about are just like, dude, that's your fault. Like you screwed it up. Now you're mad because the guy's upset. Like, don't get mad because the guy's upset because you blew something. Just say, hey, man, I blew it. Don't avoid it. Just deal with it and move on. Because, I mean, it's cost of doing business. And you just have, if you're going to treat it like a business, then, you know, that's part of it. So I just encourage you, like, don't be fearful of it, but don't be stupid about it either. Like, make sure that you are covering yourself. Like Tim, you know, covered it. Cernoch, these guys talked about it. Like, don't step outside of eBay's rules. I will tell you one interesting thing, and then we'll move on from here. But one interesting thing that happened to me this past week, because I had, well, this was like maybe 3 weeks ago, in a mad rush, packing like happens sometimes. You guys, I'm sure everybody, because I know I've heard this from everybody, it sends somebody the wrong item. You know, like 2 packages look similar, pop, you put the wrong label on there. Now what do? The first buyer reaches out, hey, got this, you know, I was supposed to get this. I got this. Okay, no problem. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you this, and I'm going to replace, you know, like I send him the label, I send the other guy the label. I refunded half their money, both of them. I was like, here you go, half your money back. You get your item for cheap. But what I did, I said, look, when you print the label, and I see the item tracking headed out your way, I'm refunding half your money. Like that's what I did as incentive to get them to do it. Because like I've had it happen before where I was like, hey man, sorry for the inconvenience. You know, I'm reaching out to this buyer, and you know what happened? The one guy didn't do it, and the other guy did it, and then you're like screwed. So it's one of the things. So those are things I did. But the other day I also had eBay. I had a guy who messaged me, is there any way I can get this before Christmas? I was like, dude, the only way that can happen is if you pay the upcharge for shipping. So I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in this listing. I'm going to add an expedited thing for that. Well, what does the guy do? He buys the stupid thing, right? And doesn't hit the expedited shipping. And then he's like, how's it? I was like, dude, I said, it's $50, bro. Like your label is $10. Like I'm not paying $40 extra for you to get something so I can make no money, right? So he's like, I call eBay. What do I do? And they was like, you can either cancel. I said, without canceling it, is there anything I can do? The lady tells me, now this is eBay, and this goes completely against the scam clause, all this kind of stuff. But she sells on eBay as well. And she's like, well, eBay has recently said that you can tell people to pay you the difference in PayPal. I was like, are you sure? That don't make sense. Like, I was like, wait a minute. She goes, well, you know, we used to be married to PayPal. Like we're still have a relationship to a degree. I was like, that makes no sense. Like, so you're telling me to tell this guy in my chat, because I said, from what I understand, if I say the word PayPal in there, I'm going to get a little flag on my account, and then AI boy is going to be in there looking at my stuff. In here trying to do something funny. She goes, no. She goes, that's what they're telling us to tell people now. Yeah, there's a difference of that there can be a PayPal exchange. But long story short, the guy, I told him, I said, look, unless I hear from you, bro, like I'm shipping this item out as what you paid for, per what you paid for, priority shipping. So
here's kind of like off of yours. I recently, this was so weird. I recently had where I messed up. I know it's unbelievable. I messed up, and I sent the 2 pairs of boots to the wrong people. Okay. So I was just like, so now in the past, I have gotten burned on doing I'm going to send you a label to send it to them, and I'm going to send you a label to send it to them. I had a 3-way mix up. Okay. A menage a trois mix up. Okay. And basically 2 of them send the stuff back, but the most expensive item never got sent, and message. So I sent the wrong boots out. I said, you know what? Hey, the one lady, I said, that's totally my fault. I know what happened. I sent the wrong boots out to this person. I said, I'm going to reach out. I will start a return. I will reach out to them and explain the situation so they can get a timely return as well. And so check this out. Both setup returns never ship the item. Both cases got closed yesterday in my favor.
So you're not out anything.
No.
Yeah.
So
I've had some stuff like that.
Sometimes it pays to just work inside that eBay ecosystem, you know?
Tell them to return it because most of the time they don't. Like, yeah, it's true.
So,
it's true. For sure. Well, look, guys, that's all we have as far as questions today, but we're going to go around the horn and let everybody give their farewells. As always, we do appreciate y'all for being here. We do encourage you to drop questions. It's always good discussion when we have questions, and we don't have to come up with them off our head or go into other people's Facebook groups and try to pull out of it. Because we want to know what you guys want to know, and that's what we want to build our RIN channel around. So, Cernoch,
all right. Hey, thank you everyone for hanging out with us all of last year, 2022. We're bringing awesome stuff coming 2023. You never know. There might be a hat camp sighting. Okay. I don't know. We're just saying, you know what I'm saying? But, we got a lot of things. We got a lot of stuff in the wheelhouse. Okay. There's never a time where like, man, we ain't got nothing to do. I ain't got nothing to do. Okay. There's always like, look behind me. Look at this. Look at this. There's always something to be done. So that's why we're always here working. We're always here helping. Hopefully, everyone out there has always something to do. You know what I'm saying? So just keep yourself busy. Keep making money. I will tell y'all. Just I kind of missed it last episode, but this reselling is what I call a lifestyle design. Okay, I can design my lifestyle around my reselling business where other jobs wouldn't allow me to do that. And that's what I'm very thankful that I get the opportunity to do that. And kind of touch on this too. I'm a rant just a little, not a rant, but just a little, I'm gonna speak a piece. I know we get frustrated with all our platforms, eBay, Poshmark, whatnot, whatever platform, Etsy or whatever platform you're on. Okay. But at the end of the day, we have to realize that we are dang lucky to be able to be provided with the opportunity to do this from our house. Just 15 years ago, 20 years ago, none of this would have been possible. None of this would have been possible. It's possible now that we're able to make a living and adjust our lifestyle to where we're not working 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week, never get to go on vacation, never get to see our kids, all that stuff, and making money for somebody else, to where it's like, hey, we can step back and go, hey, this is my business. This is my work. I'm making money for my family, for myself, and I'm doing the best that I can be doing. So I just wanted to say that, and eBay, Poshmark, all these programs too. Listen, I know they have their glitches. I know they have this, but these are engineering marvels when you just step back 5 feet away and take a look at it, going, wow, I could sit in my basement, find a pair of Jordans, list them, and sell them for $200, $300. Okay? If that's not awesome to you, then you're in the wrong business. So that's my piece.
Did you guys? I know Tim was busy doing something else. Did you guys see Cernochs Rewind? That was amazing. Did you guys see his? Tim, you gotta go back. When you see this video, you gotta go back and see Cernochs Rewind. He's like,
Working on my spin shoe.
Love it, man. Love it.
But no,
Shoe flip.
This is the beginning of a new year. I'm blessed every day that these guys even allowed me to be here. With my dad jokes and all. So I just look at it as like these guys always say, and like I always say, we get into our little rants. But we're here to teach you guys and tell you guys. Are we always right? No, we're not always right. But we try to tell you guys what we've learned and try to tell you guys, the best thing, to do in this. Between all of us, we got a lot of years in this, so we just try to teach you guys, and we want you guys to share us with other people. Like, don't be stingy. Like, tell people about it. Don't sit there and just like keep us in your pocket. Like, you're supposed to do that with stuff. You want to tell people your secrets, but tell your friends about us to help them get better. And questions that if you don't want to answer or you don't want to tell them like the real deal, just send them to us and we'll tell them the real deal. So what I say is I just say I'm always gonna rock it and sell my socket.
Love it.
Hey, my guy. Listen, big shout out to everybody who is watching us right now, who has watched us in 2022, who's watching us in 2023. We definitely appreciate all the love and the support. Please, 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 please. More questions, more questions, more questions. Some of these questions that we got this time around touched on some really interesting topics. And, I want to remind everybody, too, that, we maybe discuss the questions, not even all the time, but we maybe, like, Eric would be like, hey, I got a couple of questions, like a minute or two before we record this show.
You get live action.
So these are like genuine responses, and I don't want anybody to kind of think otherwise, because sometimes we're a little bit harsh to some people, sometimes we're a little bit but this is real, and I think that for most people, you guys are appreciating the authenticness that we're bringing, whether we're talking about something in a 101 or a hack or a Q&A. These are real answers, and there's no gimmicks. There's nothing, to sugarcoat these things. And we are like how we are not just because it's who we are, but it's because we want you guys to get the real answers. So please continue these questions, because it doesn't only just help you guys, it helps other people, and it helps us sometimes. There's a lot of stuff that we're learning from these questions that each one of us always seems to have a different answer. There's a lot of core things to the answers that we all share, but there's also a lot of things that are very different, and I think that that's super interesting. So definitely keep bringing the questions, and don't forget to tell a friend that Leroy seems to be gone again about RIN, Reseller Information Network.